fundamental statements to inspire you to get to the horizon. That's what we do, to make you think, to make you see things beyond what you're seeing, to make you think outside the box, to make you a better citizen. That's what we stand for on ITV. Well, on this discussion segment, we'll be taking a look at the impact of coalition of political parties in the 2019 election. You've heard about defection, you've heard about decamping, you've heard about quitting. Well, even in America, one woman talking about a staunch member of the Republican Party chose to quit. Why? She doesn't like the person, Donald Trump, and what he represents, his manifesto. She was like, enough, I've had it, I'm leaving Republican, and she did. When you come back again to Nigeria, well, it's like a normal thing, same old, everybody wants to leave, everybody wants to come in, you know, cross-carpeting, the campaign is like the order of the day, they have their good reasons. If you go to the UK, you get to hear what is called the House of Commons, you get to see coalition. They don't leave their party, instead they choose to form a kind of a coalition with other parties to press a particular thing or to make the government of the day more vibrant, as in they come together maintaining their status quo. If they're in party A, they remain in party A. If they're in party B, they just maintain party B, but they can work together as in coming together. The same thing also in Germany, you get to hear coalition. That's why Angela Merkel also has been able to push some of her, you know, ideas into government because they have this coalition. People like saying that the former administration was ousted out due to a coalition of parties, and now we are having yet another coalition in this administration. What are the implications? We'll talk about 2019 general elections. With me here in the studio, I have amazing gentlemen here to really throw more light into this. Introducing from my extreme left, I have Leo Atako. He is a human rights activist, a political analyst. We'll talk about local and international politics. He's well grounded and he talks about issues, events as they unfold. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming despite the rain, all of you, all of you. Okay, sitting close to him, I have a very young, vibrant political analyst, a political affairs commentator. We'll talk about human activism. He is well full-time there. Okay, international local politics is well grounded. Join me, welcome Obede Ifaluyi Isibo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your coming. All right, and of course, sitting close to me, he is a legal practitioner, a human rights activist, a labor activist. In fact, he's from the labor enclave, so to speak, but he's a legal practitioner also. We talk about analysis of topical issues, local and international. He's well grounded. And to cut it off, he's a grandpa. Please join me, welcome Barrister Robinson Imade. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, here we are. It's like a roller coaster. People like said that it happened in the previous administration, and here we are again. It's happening right now. Defection, coalition being formed. What's your take in all this? Let me start off from you, Leo. What's your angle?
Well, I think you have given a good background to this topic, and as we approach 2019 elections, we expect that there will be alignment and realignment of political forces in the country, and that's exactly what you are seeing with the coalitions. This is also not particular about Nigeria. As you have also put it in your background, it's a global thing, it's a global phenomenon in the political arena, so it is not new in Nigeria. And previous administration, we also saw a coalition of political parties come together to form, you know, the ruling party. Some party gave up their identities, their names, their insignia, everything, you know, to form that coalition. This time around, I think that for you to be able to wrest power from the current administration, from what we have on ground, it will not take one particular party to achieve that if they must, you know. So I'm sure that is why political parties with same interests, are coming together, to wrest power from the ruling party. But that said, it's also important to also watch what is the motive, behind your coming together. Because again, you find a situation where strange bedfellows sometimes come together to wrest power without even having in mind what do we do with power when we get power. They don't have clear-cut agenda to improve the lives and the well-being of citizens. So it will be important that as political forces come together, as they coalesce, that Nigerians watch who are these people coming together. What is the agenda? What do you have for the people different from the people who are there? What do you want to do when you get power? Do you want to come and improve our living, conditions? Do you want to improve infrastructure? Do you have clear-cut agenda? Is your manifesto clear? Do you have the citizens, the poor, at heart as you are coming? Or are you coming together just to get power? Do you want to perhaps the issue of stomach infrastructure? Are you coming for your selfish end? So it's for citizens to also keep their eyes open and watch and know what is the agenda of this coalition.
All right, what is the agenda of this coalition? Well, let me come to Barrister Robinson. What's your take on this?
Well, the first discussant has said so much about it. Was it Franz Fanon who said the situation of the country has to be extremely bad before men and women in their large numbers will come out to ask for a revolution? We saw it in 2014, just before the election. Like he said, when all the parties came out. Why? Because there was discontent. There was dissatisfaction. There was a feeling of, do we have a government in place? And I would agree that strange bedfellows at that time, the CPC, the various parties came together, and they did what was unprecedented. They were able to win a sitting government. What is the situation today, one may ask? More discontent, more dissatisfaction, more insecurity, more economic hardship. And so the situation again has called for a coalition. And men of women of goodwill who believe, as they have told us, that they need to wrestle powers from the government of today, they need to save Nigeria first, have come together to ensure that power is taken from those they believe, they told us, and we are saying, are not actually in charge, are not interested in our security, are not doing much to help the poor, as the economy is biting harder and harder. And so the coalition has come, as they have told us, to wrestle power from the government of today. The big question, like he asked, is, what do you intend to do with the power? And I will say quickly that what you do with the power is what we should expect from the coalition next. They have come together. There are proposals of change of name from the biggest of the very many parties, the PDP, to another name. We are not too sure that some smaller but more vibrant, in my opinion, parties will not insist on their own name until and unless they have a name, an identity, and a signal. I don't think they'll be able to bring out their manifesto.
All right.
The manifesto has to come from the political party and in agreement with all the parties that are coalesced. That's the way I look at it. The next phase of this coalition is to know, what do you have for Nigeria?
All right. Now, you just opened another page talking about the change of name. We'll get to that in course of this discussion. Obede, what's your take?
Well, it's an obvious fact that politics is a contestation of power. It's a contestation of ideas. And democracy provides a platform where the people select or elect from amongst themselves those who are going to lead, giving them the power to deploy the resources of the people for the benefit of the people. And it gets to a point when political forces need to come together, maybe temporarily, to form a unified vision or goal for the nation, like we see today. This is not the first time we're having political parties form alliances. It happened in 1964. It happened again in 1983. It happened 2007, 2011, 2015. You know, it's all for the same purpose. Politics provides a platform where people want to get power. That is the focus, to get power. And when political parties, like we've seen, are coming together, still sustaining their identities, but forming an alliance or a coalition for the purpose of getting power, that's what we refer to as a coalition, which is completely different from a merger. You know, so now there's a need for interest groups to come together to form an alliance to wrest power from the government. And they have sold the idea to Nigerians. One would jolly well say that Nigerians are the ones who are coming together, you know, to wrest power from those who are leading at the moment, because there's discontent, there's dissatisfaction across board. And so these political parties who represent the people are the ones who are forming you know, a group, you know, to be formidable enough to take power from the government. And there's a sense in which one can agree with the vision behind it, one can agree with the purpose behind it, because Nigerians are today disillusioned. Many are not as happy as they would have expected to be. You know, having to have a new government who took power from, you know, a sitting government that has been there for 16 years, and so they promised us change. They promised Nigerians they were going to have a better life, better education, and all. And so a lot of Nigerians hold the view, and very strongly, that they've not gotten, you know, the promises made, you know, by this group. And so there's a need for us to have a change. And that is what democracy provides. We see it, you know, in developed economies or developed countries, developed democracies, where the Republicans rule for 8 years and the Democrats take over, then it goes back again. That is just what democracy provides. And I think it is healthy for our politics to have such changes every now and then. It encourages political hygiene. It encourages competition of political forces, so that you know that the people have the power and they can change the government whenever they choose to change the government. And it is commonsensical to agree that when the eve of an election, you know, is nigh, like it is now, people can form groups, people can form alliances or coalitions to wrest power for the purpose of getting power first. You know, but they have to now sell the idea to Nigerians why they want to get the power. But the truth is that our kind of democracy, where political parties have no clear-cut ideologies, is virtually the same thing.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
No clear-cut ideology. Now we're talking about coalition.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll come back to that. Now, from what he said, both of them agree that the people are the ones coming together. Is it the people or a certain group of persons that are coming together?
Well, the issue is that the coalition we are discussing,
Yeah.
is about the politicians themselves, right? But I also understand the fact that the politicians are acting, as it were, on behalf of the people. How? The politicians themselves, they read the mood of the people, and then they want to cut, you know, the interest of the people in advancing their political ideas and interests. All right. So the two discussants, my co-discussants, have put it clear that there is dissatisfaction, you know, across the country as to what the ruling party is doing. Okay. So now, citizens are expressing this. You, as government, you are free to insult anybody. You are free to express, you know, you are free to react to citizens the way you choose. You know, people can leave your party and you abuse them, you know, if you so like. But again, it boils down to those coalitions coming together, you know, working in reaction with the feelings of the people. I mean, we have all been in this country these past 3 years of the current government, and we have seen how they have fared. All right, so citizens are now in a position to make assessments, to say this government have done well in this area, or they have failed in this area. And so if another group of politicians are coming together to say we need to wrest power from these people, they will also have some reasons to want to do that. And those reasons are usually derived from the people, because democracy is about the people, yeah. So at the end of the day, one will expect that the outcome of the election should reflect the wishes of the people. Otherwise, you may be calling for anarchy, all right? So these people coming together, no two ways. They are also picking up on the various reactions from various communities, from different villages, from various societies, from different groups, interest groups across, the length and breadth of this country. So at the end of the day, what you are going to find will be an articulation of all the feelings, of the people in the agenda that they will be advancing during their campaigns and all those kind of stuff. So it will be in the interest of those who are in power to now perhaps read the mood of the citizens, listen to the people, and then do the needful. Otherwise, those coming together could be in a position to wrest power from you, as it happened before.
All right. People. But there's this school of thought that just has it that some persons are cashing in on this situation in the sense that they're getting so personal about it. It's not about the people. It's about protecting and guiding their own offices, not even about the people. Barrister.
Well, people. Socrates said many years ago that politics is part of man. Man essentially is a political animal. What are we doing here? Politics. We are mirroring the society and talking about it. That is all that politics is about, apart from governance, as distinct from governance. I'll tell you that what's happening today is not about political parties per se. Before this time, the political parties were not friends, as it were. They were doing their own things as different bodies. And now if there's a need to come together, and they have come together, it is listening to the yearnings and aspirations of the people. Otherwise, without the cooperation of the people, they cannot be together. I do not know those who, like you said, are thinking of protecting their own positions, because those in the coalition today have no positions in government, except the government itself. And to know that this coalition is endorsed by the mass of the people of Nigeria, look at the comments. Are there dissenting voices? There are people condemning the action truly and sincerely. The only voices we are hearing in condemnation of this coalition is the voice of the government and actors of the government. I think that the situation of the country became so bad, really bad, worse as many are saying, than it was in 2014. And there was the need for this coalition. The coalition has come to stay, irrespective of what anybody is saying about it. But talking about, again, the issue of what they will do with it, it is only this dispensation, like my co-discussant said, that we don't have clear-cut ideology of political parties. In the Second Republic, the manifestos of the UPN, the manifestos of the MPN, the manifestos of the GNPP, RP, and the other were there, distinct and clear-cut for people to see. They launched their manifestos and began to set their manifestos. Today, we have a situation where a political party will give promises, manifestos, and the government will say, I, as a president, didn't say this. And we talk about running a party government, a government that was voted in through the political party. It has been said in the course, and the current chairman of APC is saying that, look, those defecting from the National Assembly were not voted for on their own merits, but were voted for because they belong to the APC. And yet you are saying that the promises, the manifesto, so to speak, of the APC is not binding on the president. So what are we talking about? I would think that before getting the power, there is the need for the coalition to come out to Nigeria, for Nigerians to see their manifestos. Exactly. Otherwise, we will be just dancing around in a cycle. They will come again to say, oh, we've won, thank you, Nigerians. We did not promise ABCD. Or even if you heard ABCD as promises, it was not the president, but the party. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? The manifesto of the party is supposed to be binding on whoever is the president. And so it's only in Nigeria you say, oh, I didn't say, but my party would have said. We voted for the party, not the individual. That's what our jurisprudence has taught us. So I believe that just now, as soon as they get an acceptable name, we want to see a manifesto that will make Nigerians vote for the coalition parties or vote for the hardship that has become the order of the day.
All right, now I'll come back to you. What about I say now is their own comment. It has nothing to do with ITV Radio. This is their own personal opinion, but doing our best to make sure that they follow the guidelines governing the airwaves. Now, clear cut manifesto. Right now, we're talking about coalition, no template. Do you see it holding water? Because we have less than how many months to go? Nothing on the ground right now, just hearsay. We are living, we are forming, but we've not seen anything.
Also, you know, a manifesto ought to be a template of what you intend to achieve when you get into government.
Yeah.
But you see, the reason why Africa has not developed, or the reason why Nigerian politics has not developed, is not because of the lack of manifestos. People could write whatever they want to write in their manifestos, but it's the lack of leadership. African nations, and indeed Nigeria, we have failed to have leaders in the position of authority. Instead, we have dealers in the position of authority.
Okay.
Yes, that is why it appears as though the people are in disarray of what is going on. It doesn't really matter the political platform that produces the president. Is he a leader? Does he have the interests of the people? Has he studied the Constitution? Does he know what his duties are? Does he know what the obligation of the government is? We really may not really need, you know, to read a manifesto on your party's pamphlet and tell us, make promises. Nigerians are tired of promises. Nigerians are tired of manifestos of different political parties because it's about the same thing. Nigerians want a leader, someone who sees the man in Warri the same way he sees the man in Kano. Someone who feels the pain if someone is killed in Benue the same way if someone is killed in Sokoto. That is the leader Nigeria needs. And the Nigerian youth, the constituency where I belong, we are tired of the recycling of yesterday men. Because these men, they have no plan for the tomorrow of Nigeria because they are not stakeholders in that tomorrow. So what we want for the future of Nigeria today is those who are going to be stakeholders in the future of the country. A man who is 70, how long is he going to live?
He's not Donald Trump is beyond 70, he's doing well.
No, it's different.
So they're saying that it's not about the age.
No, let me tell you why I said
Yeah.
so. You see, the average thinking of the Nigerian politician is completely at variance with the average thinking of those in the West. Completely different. First of all, we are in a situation where we do not have institutions that help to check society.
So from what you're saying
As
now,
compared to-
manifestos have no importance. Is that what you're saying?
No, they have an importance.
Because from
Yes.
what you just said is that we need a leader, forget about the promise, forget about the manifesto.
Yes, because
is that what you're saying?
Nigerians are not really bothered about what you say to us during your campaign. No,
Right.
Nigerians are bothered about the ability to fulfill the constitutional provisions of the government. We really do not need you to write different things apart from what the Constitution says is the role or the obligation of the government. For example, there's obligations of the government, there are economic obligations of the government, there are educational obligations of the government. You don't need to tell us that you're going to build schools. You have to build schools. That is the obligation of the government.
All right.
You have to ensure that there's equitable distribution of wealth. That is the obligation of the government as enshrined in the Constitution. That doesn't have to be in your manifesto.
Okay.
So what we want are people who understand the nature of the country they're going to lead and understand the obligation of the government and make decisions in line with the obligations of the government.
Okay, now, it's like both of them are throwing the same line saying, look, we are tired of promises. We don't want to base...
We are not doing the same line.
No, I'm talking about both of them. It's like, talking about the people. Okay, both of you people are not throwing the same line. All right.
Not on this.
Okay, not on this.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Still talking about manifesto. He said we're tired of promises. And right now, we are hearing about parties coming together. Now, what I said before, no foundation yet. no name yet. Mind the coalition, each party they have their own manifesto. How is it going to work given the time factor? Is it going to work?
Well, because I'm not there, I will not be able to speculate what is happening there. But what I do know, that if people have a plan to come together, at this point, they are very likely to be on the drawing board, where they are making plans, where they are strategizing, where they are setting up committees, where they are putting up all kinds of plans, you know, to achieve their goal. In terms of putting manifesto in place, manifesto is very important, you know, for democracy, political parties. The reason being that there are competing needs that any government, you know, competing for resources that any government will have to utilize. The point here is that resources are scarce. Yeah. So any government coming must set out its priorities. You must make it clear.
Scarce resources,
Oh,
how?
the resources are scarce. You do not have all the money to do everything you have written in your constitution or in your laws, in your statutes. You don't have all the resources, you know, to do. That is why even governments go to borrow from other nations, from other, you know, clients to even finance their budgets. And very often even your budgets, not your annual budgets, not enough to address all the problem of society. So what you need to do is to set out your priorities as you are coming to government. Oh, that is why even in a place like UK, you know, where the Labour Party and the Republican, you know, the other party, the hardliners, will come out to say, okay, this is what we are going to face. We are going to face security, this. In the US, for instance, you find the Republicans will always come out to say, okay, very often when they take over power, you find that they are prosecuting wars and wars and you know, so on and so forth. So, but coming back home, our politicians, you know, appear to be colorless. So you really cannot associate them with, you know, particular ideologies, all right? And that is why it is difficult, you know, to now say, oh, we would prefer this or we prefer that. So now Nigerians are seeing all the political parties are one and the same, you know, people, you know. So once it does not suit you in this party today, you switch over to this other one. Or where they are catching corrupt people on this other side, you jump both into that other party so that you will not be caught if you are a corrupt fellow, you know, and all those kind of stuff. So what is important is that any government coming must set out its priorities. And then you sell it to the electorate. And once that happens, what we expect as citizens and as ordinary people of this country is that you stick to your priorities. You fulfill them, you deliver on your electoral promises. It's not to go around distributing grinding machine and I see in some part of the country they bring tea and bread and share to people. They say they have empowered them. They come with a cobbler equipment. They say, oh, you have empowered this fellow, and so on and so forth. That's not the development we want for Nigeria. We want to see, you know, when you come, say you want to tackle poverty, you know, a whole lot is involved there. You tackle the social sector, education, health. You know, people are sick in this country. You really do not have a standard hospital to go, you know, to check, you know, yourself and then attend to yourself. That is why even once these same people capture power, you know, they fly overseas to go and be treating themselves. Imagine a president that promised Nigerians that, you know, this flying abroad for Medicare will be abolished, and then suddenly he flies with official aircraft, stationed the official aircraft in the UK.
But there's no crime in seeking medical attention outside the country.
For 104 days, you know.
But that is not a crime.
What stops us as a nation, oil producing nation, to set up a standard hospital that Indians will fly here to treat themselves? Why should we fly from here to India?
Okay, now.
So these are the issues. You set out your priorities. Oh, we want to address healthcare. We want to make sure that there is hospital in Nigeria that anybody who is sick of any disease in this country will have a standard hospital.
And here we are talking about manifestos.
Yeah, you put it in your manifesto.
Okay, fine.
This is what we're going to do.
Okay.
Oh, we want to implement free education. In the days of UPN, as a co-discussant put it, that era, the 79, We had the manifesto. You even had them in hard copies.
Hard copies.
Oh yes, you have
Fine.
a copy.
Now
yes,
he,
so you can discuss with the politicians.
all right, fine. He raised the point saying that our politicians are colorless. You see one here today, you see the other one there tomorrow. The same people reshuffling. He boils down again straight down to people having hard copies of manifestos so you can hold the party or the present administration or any administration responsible for their words and actions. If you want to go by his term, colorless, should Nigerians trust this coalition that is in the making? Knowing fully well that today you are in A, tomorrow you are in B. The same person, the same ideology, but on different platforms.
Well, the coalition this time around, I think, is unique because those who strayed away are coming together principally. There are others joining them.
Oh, hold on now. Unique straight away coming back together. Throw more light on that, please.
I'm talking about those who broke away from the PDP in 2014, have decided to come back, and the popular song of today, "Oh My Home," is a pointer to this fact. And it will mean that they found themselves in a strange land, and so they are coming back home.
How strange is the land?
Let me tell you.
Because from what they said, when it's rosy and smooth, oh my God, that is home. And now they're not being favored. How is it strange?
I don't know who could be better favored today than the parliamentarians, at least at the national level.
Or even a sitting governor.
Or even a sitting governor or sitting governors. Because Amechi has told us that more governors will come. Who could be more favored than the National Assembly members and even sitting governors? Let's talk about manifesto. There can be no political party without manifesto. It is the manifesto that makes the party. People vote not just for the party, talking about the name of the party, but for the manifestos of the parties. You say, okay, UPN talked about free education. Oh, I want free education for my children and children's children. I want enlightenment, want education. Education is light, as Tice Larry kept saying. And so people drifted in this part of the world to the UPN. Unfortunately, the MPN had, was it the Operation Feed the Nation? Or Green?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so they talked about agriculture. They won the election. But the states that had the UPN in government stick to the free education policy and opened up education for so many people. So by the time we remove manifestos from political parties, we are calling for either a monarchical system of government or a paternalistic kind of personality at the end of affairs. No wonder in today's government we see our presidents as Papa. Yes, it's not known to be so.
A president what?
Papa, father.
Look, age is not the thing because we have presidents that are over 70 and they are functioning well.
Exactly. I have no problem.
We don't use the word Papa.
I said we see our leader as Papa because we see them as paternalistic people who will give us what they think we deserve or what they think we need, not what they have promised us. We must begin to hold parties accountable for their manifestos. And whether, like you asked, the coalition will succeed because the actors are colorless.
Colorless, according to him.
According to him.
Yeah.
Let us believe, like my colleague said, that they are in the drawing board. If between now and, okay, if by the time they give us their presidential candidate, there is no manifesto. If I'm invited, they'll come to say, don't vote for them. There has to be manifesto. We must hold you accountable for something. It is this era that nobody is able to talk, that TV stations are afraid, that people are being censored here, there, and everywhere, that we talked about the party promises, not my promises. We must begin to engage this government, we must begin to engage governments and hold them accountable to their promises. Because it's for the promises that they were voted in. It's for the promises that is to come, or that are to come, that whoever is going to win will be voted in. I don't think any Nigerian is ready again to vote for lies. If you say you are going to do A, B, C, D now, and you are in power just now, we are going to ask you, what about the X, Y, Z you promised in the past?
All right. Over to you. Said manifesto is very, very important. Right now, the manifesto, we are contemplating, according to them, renaming it. People are decamping, coming in, nothing ground. And he used the phrase, I will say, a word colorless, because they are like one and the same. People may just want to toe the same line with him. I've seen you in party A, I'm seeing you now in party B. What is the difference?
But for me, I think we're saying about the same thing, but in different ways. You know, that a president is denying the promises his party made. It shows a lack of leadership.
Exactly.
That is what it is. That is where the problem is. And that is because he has seen, or maybe he was not aware of the promises made by his party. But these promises, many Nigerians felt were out of the box. Many Nigerians felt were unreasonable. Many Nigerians felt were unachievable. So the man eventually got to office, became president, and he has seen that the promises we made are not achievable. That is why he has dissociated himself from the promise. But that in itself is lack of leadership. That is what I think. You see, manifestos are just documents written down, or are just lecturings written down by a political party, you know, for the sake of the people. But manifestos in and of themselves do not achieve the results they are required to achieve if there's no leadership. That is why I remain that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria spells out the roles of the government.
Okay.
Spells out the roles of the people. So I am not going to be thrilled by whatever manifesto the coalition has, or that the ruling party will give again in 2019, because there's a tradition of failings of achieving whatever it is in the manifesto. What we want to do is to hold you to the constitutional requirement of the government. For example, he talked about a political party back in the days giving free education. The law says that education should be given for free as much as possible. That is what the law says. So if a political party is talking about free education, that is not out of the box of what the Constitution says. The law says that Nigerians their lives and property should be protected. That is what the law says. So your party does not have to have in its manifesto, we will give you security. You have no choice. That is what a government should do. That is why I think that in as much as political parties can't have manifestos, many Nigerians do not believe that the manifestos in themselves will shape the government. They rather want to hold you accountable for what the law says you should do. For example, people died in Benue State. It didn't have to be in the manifesto of the APC for the president to visit states where people are killed. That is what a leader should do. That is what is required of leadership. So the failures of political office holders to fulfill their promises is not because the manifestos were watching. It's because of the failures of these individuals as leaders. Like I said, they came as dealers and not leaders. Removing the PDP was the focus at the time, and they achieved it. That was a deal to get power. So now that the deal has been struck, the ability to lead was not there. And that is why we are seeing the failings in virtually all sectors.
And it's a position
of
of
the
not
economy.
dealing the same deal. It's not the same thing.
That
You
is
could use the word dealing.
see,
It's all about deals right now. So what's the difference?
I'm coming, sir. The
Yeah.
deal for the coalition now is
Yeah.
to get power. That's a clear fact.
All right.
Whether they have a manifesto or not, but then do they have the ability to provide leadership that these guys do not have? That's where there will be a difference.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls watching this show, not to worry. They're going to have a minute each to call it a wrap to summarize all points, because we have yet another speaker. I'm expecting two. Yes, one is already around talking about Raymond and Nagao. You throw more light on this, and I'm still expecting Desmond Ikumba. Maybe you'll be around. I will get to throw more light on this same particular topic. Or I mean, just to retain one of my guests to balance the next discussion. You never can tell. Now, gentlemen, 1 minute each. The coalition is already in motion. Yes, no foundation, no manifesto. 2019 is fast approaching. The election timetable has been drawn already. It's just for the umpire to just blow the whistle and everything will just start off. What do you think will be the impact of the coalition? 1 minute each. Let me start from you.
Well, until you accept the meal, you will not be able to tell how it tastes until we find the coalition, the final outing one will not be able to give a fair assessment of what their impact will be. But looking at what is happening, there is dissatisfaction in the land. People want a change of the situation, and people are gathering to effect that change.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wonderful summation. Obedi.
For me, I want to appeal to the sitting government to make the Independent National Electoral Commission as independent as possible. Let the police be as fair as possible. Let the EFCC be as fair as possible. We cannot have an EFCC boss appearing on TV with a lapel for a political party. He ought to be apolitical, as it were. Going to the 2019 elections, there's going to be a change of government. The Nigerian people want to change government. That's a stated fact. But the fear is the authorities or the umpire must allow the wishes of the people to prevail. If not, there will be a problem in the country.
All right, that's your own opinion. Say there's going to be a change. Let's just wait
There
and
has to
see.
be a
You are
change.
not INEC, you're just an individual in Nigeria.
Yes.
Maybe you want to vote for
He's
a
entitled to
political
his
party,
opinion.
I don't know.
Yes.
So you wouldn't say there must
But
be a change.
Nigerians want a change.
All right, so finally, Barrister.
Yeah, the people are yearning for change, whether we like it or not. The coalition is born. You do not start to run, to talk, or to do things at birth. I believe that if the coalition is thinking of fielding one presidential candidate, if the coalition is thinking of having a name that will be acceptable to the coalition bodies, then the coalition must just now be thinking of its manifestos and other things. And if these things are put in place, I see the coalition succeeding, and I see a change in government.
All right.
Whether INEC, whether the police, whether the FCC likes it or not. Because we are going to have a presidential election going on in 36 states and the FCT at the same time. It's not going to be an Ekiti affair. We are not going to be able to deploy talks from Edo State to all the states
You don't
of the
have proof of
federation.
that. You don't
I
have
not
proof of
mentioned
that.
anybody.
You said the
Anybody's
point of from
name. I
which
said
state?
we.
Which state?
Okay,
Come
we don't
on.
have to. We don't
Ah,
have to.
thank you.
We will be able to.
Thank you.
Move talks from
Thank
one
you.
state to
Thank
the
you.
other
Thank
state
you.
of the
Thank you.
federation,
Thank you.
and so on.
Thank
and
you
so
so
forth.
much. Thank you so
The
much.
coalition will succeed. There will be a change of government.
All right.
Mark my words.
All right, let's see if it's going to happen, because right now I'm going to invite someone that is known to be in the ruling party. They spoke objectively, and they just shared their opinions, their own views, has nothing to do with ITV radio. Some are saying the coalition will work, others are saying it's not going to work. Let's just get to see how it's going to happen. Gentlemen, I appreciate your wonderful analysis. Thank you so much for your wonderful analysis, and thank you also for putting your emotions almost 90% to check. Though you almost lost it, come on. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
We'll
you.
be right back after this break.